everyone, this is Luther from Luther's Woodworking. I'm in the shop again today. We have a nice toy making video for you today. This is going to be a Steve Good design. He's got a lot of good projects on his website, so be sure to stop by his website to check out all his patterns. I'll put that link below in the descriptions. But let me just move my camera here, and I'm going to show you what we've been working on. Real easy project here. Steve Good really did good on this one. Hopefully you can see some of this here. But what we're going to be making today is these little toy Jeeps that Steve Good designed. I have made a lot of these Jeeps. I think probably about 15 of them or so. Very easy to make, and I'm going to step you through every step that I went through to make this Jeep. So we'll get started here. Now, if you watched a lot of my videos in the past, you'll know that I make all my setup blocks for doing my toys. So I have all my blocks here. Like this here is the wheelbase. It's got all the information on it, the size of the block. Then you got the hood for the Jeep, and that's got the size of that on there. And then you got the windshield that goes right here, and I got information on that. And then you got the back piece right here. So I got all templates. Makes it easy to make these Jeeps, especially if you're going to make more than one. It's all made out of 3/4 inch lumber. This is actually just pine. And it really doesn't take that much to make. As far as the bumper goes, the front bumper on the Jeep right here, that is actually a square dowel. I buy these square dowels, and it's a lot easier just buying a square dowel than trying to cut this out on your saw. And before I go any further, I want to just mention this pattern. You can download it from Steve Good's website. This is what you're going to get. 3 pages that you actually really need. It's got the patterns on it. The last page has got the Army men that you can do. We're not going to be doing that today. We're just going to be doing the Jeep. But basically, it's got just what you need to cut out with this Jeep. And then also on this pattern, he'll show you, you can make your own wheels for this Jeep if you want. They're 1/2 inch thick. For today's video, I buy a lot of my own wheels. This is a 2-inch wheel here, and I'll have all the information up on the screen, on the right-hand corner of the screen for this wheel. So you can go to the website and buy the wheel that I'm using. And also the axle pegs for this axle peg for this here Jeep. I'll have all the information up on the screen for this axle peg, so you can buy it. But if you choose, like on his plans here, he's got, you can either, if you don't have the axle pegs, you can use a 1/4 inch dowel. If you choose to use a 1/4 inch dowel on this project, you're going to need to drill that hole all the way through. I choose not to do that. That's why I choose to use the axle pegs. But if you choose to drill the dowel hole all the way through, you need to make sure that dowel turns inside that hole freely. So you might have to, if you use a 1/4 inch dowel, you might have to go up a couple sizes in your hole just to make sure that dowel turns freely. And this is just a drill bit gauge, but it works handy for checking out sizes of dowels and stuff. So just make sure that dowel spins freely in that hole if you choose to go that route. But we're going to use the axle pegs for this project. Also, the seat in the back part of this Jeep right here, where he's sitting on right here, I made some templates for that. This is the seat, and this is the back part right here. So I can just cut some wood to this size right here. Makes it a lot easier. So I would suggest if you're going to make this Jeep, if you're going to make more than one, I would suggest to do templates like this, so there's no measuring involved when it comes to making more than one. So we have that. As far as the windshield goes, the windshield and the seat I just make out of some 1/4-inch plywood. Like the windshield here, I got a template right here. Basically all you got to do is just lay that template. Once you got a template, you just got to lay it on there like this here. Take your pencil, draw around here, draw a line down there. Now you have this, your windshield jawed right on that piece of wood there, and all you got to do is cut this out. So it makes it a lot easier to make these parts. And the same with the seat. The seat and the back part of the seat is the same length. So what I did was just cut a piece of 1/4-inch plywood, the same width as the seat. I can go to my bandsaw and just set my bandsaw up to this width, and I can cut all these out. I can cut a bunch of these out as I need them. So that works pretty handy for that. As far as the wheelbase, and the hood and this back piece right here, that's all made out of just 3/4-inch pine. Now this, if you look on the plans, here, these are 3/4-inch thick, 3 inches wide, and this is 3 inches wide here, and these are 3 inches right here, because all these parts sit right on this wheelbase, and they're the same width. This will sit there, and once you cut this piece here, that'll sit there. Now this piece here is made out of a 3/4-inch piece. I made the pattern out of 1/4-inch, but it's actually a 3/4-inch piece of wood that you're going to cut that out of. So you want them all 3 inches. I have a piece of wood here that is 3 inches wide. It's more than what we need for one Jeep, but all I got to do now is just go to the chop saw and cut off the pieces that you need to make this the base of this Jeep. As far as the headlights, the star, the steering wheel, and the gas tank, that is all made out of 1/4-inch. It is, I just took blue painter's tape, put it on my 1/4-inch board, cut out the patterns, laid them on here. We're going to scroll saw them out later for the Jeep. So that's all you need for that. So it's pretty simple project. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the chop saw. We're going to cut some pieces out for this Jeep. So we'll go over to the chop saw and get them 3 pieces cut out. All right, guys, here we are at the miter saw. Like I said, having these setup blocks work really nice, because once you get your piece of wood that's 3/4 by 3 inches wide, all you got to do is line your setup block up on there and just draw your line right here. So this is the piece that we're going to keep right here. So we'll just cut that piece out. So that will be for the wheelbase. Now we're going to cut a piece out for the hood. This is the hood of the Jeep right here. Again, setup block. No measuring, just set your block right there. Draw a line. This is the piece we're going to keep. So this would be for your hood. So we'll set that aside. Now we got the back part of your Jeep. And that's also made out of 3/4-inch wood. So we're just going to set that on here. And just draw a line across. Now we're going to keep this piece right here. So this is for the back portion of the Jeep right here. So we're going to head back over to the workbench and do some marking for the wheels and this part right here. Alright guys, we are back at the bench here. We have our parts cut from the block of wood we had. Here is the wheelbase right here. Now you'll see on Steve Good's plans here, you'll see on his plans that he's got, it's marked right here where you put the holes for the wheels. Basically, it's 3/4 of an inch from each end. You could just lay this block on here and mark where the holes go if you like. Let me grab my pencil. You could just lay the block of wood on here and mark where the holes go. And then you can just take a square here. And just draw your line across here. So here you got where your wheels are going to go on this block. Now, as far as the hood goes, is really, and you're going to need to do this on both sides because we're using axle pegs. You're going to need to make the markings on both sides. So we'll just take this here and turn the block around. You can mark the holes out. So you got your holes, lines for your holes marked on both sides. You want your wheels, because we're using 2-inch wheels, you can put your holes right in the middle of this 3/4 inch board. So half of 3/4 is 3/8, so you can just mark the center, be about 3/8 of an inch. What you want to do is make a setup block. Because if you make a setup block with your holes all drilled in like this here, all you have to do is take your blocks, set it on here, set them up like that there, and mark your holes. You don't have to do no measuring. So we have that marked. The next thing we're going to mark is this rear part of the Jeep. That's this part right here that gets glued on the Jeep. I have my template right here to the shape it's supposed to be. You can just lay that right on there and just draw out like that there. There's really no measuring. If you make these templates, there's really no measuring on making these Jeeps. So we're going to cut that out later. So we're going to head over to the drill press. We're going to drill these holes for this wheelbase, because that would be the next thing you got to do. So we'll go over to the drill press and get drilling on these holes. All right, here at the drill press. Now, if you make a template to make this Jeep, you got the holes already drilled in there, all your measurements on it and stuff. All you got to do is set your fence up to where your drill bit will line up with your template, and everything will be the same on all the blocks that you make. Now we're using, let me see here. We are using 15/64 holes. These are 15/64 holes for them axle pegs. So once you get everything all lined up, and you got your block of wood here with the lines on for your wheels, all you got to do is set your block up there and drill. But before that, you want to make sure that you only drill these holes so deep. This hole only goes in there so deep. So when you have a setup block, you can just run your drill bit down in there till it bottoms out, and then you can adjust your you can lock your drill press in, and that's only going to go that deep. If you're just first making your setup block, you'll need to mark how far you want your drill bit to go down. So I just take the dowel, I just take a wheel. There's a 2-inch wheel right here. I just put that axle peg in that 2-inch wheel and put it up against a block of wood like this here. Make a little mark right there. Now that tells me I only want to run that drill bit down that far. So you're going to have to come over here and run your bit down, and then you're going to have to lock your drill press in so it only comes down that far up to your line. Once you get that set up, you're all ready to drill this wheelbase. But template blocks help a lot. You don't have to do all that measuring. So we're just going to drill these real quick. And now one thing I want to mention too, I'm going to drill these 2 holes. When I go to drill the 2 holes on the other side, I'm going to flip this block like this. This back piece right here is going to stay against the fence. You don't want to flip it like this. You want to drill these 2 holes and then flip it long ways like this. Keep the same side against your fence. Otherwise, the holes might be off a little bit. Okay, so we got them drilled. Just double check to make sure everything is right for your wheel. So everything works good there. So you got your block drilled. So let's head back over to the workbench and work on the next step. All right, back here at the bench. Now, you got your wheelbase holes drilled. You got your hood that sits on there. Next thing we're going to do is head over to the scroll saw, and we're going to cut out this windshield. We're going to cut out the back part of this Jeep that goes on the Jeep, and we're going to cut out all these parts that go on the Jeep. Here's the little guy that goes in the Jeep, the headlights, the gas can, the star that goes on top, and the steering wheel. We'll cut all them parts out, and then we'll be back at the bench. All right, here we are at the scroll saw. Now, remember what I said, that back piece? We took that template and we drew that line right here to make that little cutout. We're going to cut this block of wood out, and that'll take care of the back piece. Now what I like to do, let me move this light, I don't know if you can see. What I like to do is cut down one side here, and I'll show you. Then I'll back it out. Now I'm going to cut down this side. That way, I only have to make one turn, cut straight across, and that piece will pop right out of there. So this is the back of the Jeep right here. That back piece that gets glued on the Jeep. We got that done. Now we got the windshield. Remember I already said you got a piece of 1/4-inch plywood. Just lay your template on there. Draw out the windshield here. We're just going to cut that out. Actually, I forgot to drill a pilot hole right here. So let me get that pilot hole drilled. Alright, pilot hole is all drilled. We're going to cut that windshield out first. Alright, now we just gotta cut it to the length. And here you have your windshield. Now we're just gonna cut out these here different pieces that go on the Jeep. I'm going to start out by cutting out the insides of this steering wheel. That way I have more to hang on to. Trying to get my light so you can see it a little better. But anyway, we got all the interior cuts out for that steering wheel. So now we just have to cut out all these pieces. We'll start out with the guy right here. feet, the legs for the guy, you'll see that I didn't cut that line. I don't know if you can see it. That line that goes down in between his legs. You do that last. Here's the headlights. There's the gas can. And I broke my blade. So I'm going to change that and we'll be right back. All right, new blade. We will continue on. There's the star. And we just got the windshield, or the steering wheel. All right. So we got all them items cut. We'll head back over to the workbench and continue on. All right, back here at the bench, we have all these parts that we cut on the scroll saw. Like this piece right here. This is the piece that goes on the back. You can see this is right on the back of the Jeep right there. That's actually 3/4 inch piece of wood right there. Then you have your windshield that we cut. And let me just mention one thing. When you cut your hood and this back piece, what's nice about using a miter saw, you want these edges right here square. So you can, when you go to put this windshield on here, everything sits up square. This windshield will sit like this. And this will sit up nice and square. Same with the back. When you put the back on, you're going to put this seat back on here, and you want that nice and square. That seat part sits on there nice and square. We have to cut them yet, but that's what you want. You want, when you start putting this together, you want your windshield to sit square on this piece. So you want this piece cut square, and the same with this right here with the back of the seat. So we're going to go and cut the seat in the back. And we're going to cut the bumper. Here's a template of the bumper. And I'm just using a square dowel for that. So we're going to go over to the bandsaw, because I like cutting these on the bandsaw. And then we'll be all done cutting parts. All right, here at the bandsaw. Now, remember I said I cut a piece of plywood to the exact width of my seats right here. So all I have to do is set my fence up on my bandsaw, set it up so it's the exact width of cut. So now I can just take my piece of wood in here and I can just slice me off a piece of that for the back of the seat. I don't know if you can see it, but just slice off the back of that. So now I have a piece for my seat right here. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the back of the seat. That's actually a little narrower. So we're gonna set the fence up so it cuts that a little narrower. There we go. So we're going to set that up, and now we're just going to cut a piece of that. So now we have a piece actually for the seat back. So we got them two pieces cut. Now the next thing we're going to cut is this bumper, and like I said, I just use a 1/4 inch dowel. So all I'm going to do is, and if I'm making a whole bunch of these Jeeps, I'm going to leave everything set up and cut a whole bunch of one thing. So we're just going to set this fence up here somewhat close to the size that you need for the bumper. It doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. Now I'm just going to run this through and cut a bumper. There we go. So now I have a bumper. The square dowel works a lot easier than trying to cut this little piece on your table saw or however you want to do it. The square dowels work nice. So we're going to head back over to the workbench. All right, here back at the workbench. Now we have all the parts cut. Actually, I left the stuff over here. We have the seats and the back of the seat cut. So this is the seat that'll sit right down inside here. Let me just make sure. And this back piece will sit right there. Nope, I got this wrong. This is the back. You want to make sure you got it right. The seat will go up against here. And the back will go high up against here. Now, I just realized I forgot to do one step. We can do that real quick. But there is your Jeep starting to come together. Here's the guy and his legs right there. That'll sit in there. Something like that. And then this guy will sit on there like that. Obviously, you got the gas can that's going to sit back here. The bumper is going to go up here, but we got to sand all these parts. But one thing I forgot to do is on this seat, the back of the seat and the seat right here, you'll see there's a little notch. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little notch in the seat that just separates the two seats. And the same with the back of the seat, and this is the back right here. A little notch right in there. We're just going to, you can just take, and if you have a template, you can just lay it on there and mark out a little notch like that there, if you can see that little notch. And you can do the same thing with the back piece here. Just kind of take your pencil and mark kind of where you want to notch it. And we're just going to, I'll just go on the scroll saw and you're just going to cut in a little notch right there to separate that two seats. So let me just show you that here in a minute. I'll just move my camera here. Okay, at the scroll saw here, we're just going to take that seat and notch out the middle of that. Just kind of make a little notch in your seat part, and then in the back of the seat, just kind of make a little notch, and that'll just define the two seats. So basically here, we're back at the bench. Basically, we got all the parts cut for this Jeep. I'm going to sand all these parts up. Now, you'll notice on the windshield here, you got to round the edges on the top of the windshield. Just take them on your belt sander or your disc sander, around them edges. And you're going to do the same thing with the hood and the base of your wheelbase. You're going to round them edges on the front. I usually do this one first, do one of them each separate, and then I just put them together. Should line up pretty nice. But you're going to give it a little round edge. You'll see on the Jeep here, they got a little bit of a rounded edge in the front. So you just want to do that. So I'm going to sand all these parts up, get them all ready to glue together, and we should be almost done. All right, guys, we're back here. I got all the parts sanded here. I just want to say my wife does all the sanding on a lot of our projects, and she does all the gluing and assembly. So we'll give her credit for that. I want to go back a little bit because I did forget a couple things here, and I want to just make sure I get them in this video. When we were making the pieces for the back here, this back part right here for the Jeep, I told you to use this template right here out of 1/8 inch plywood, and that way you can just draw it out for the shape. What you're going to need to probably want to do is make a full-size template too, along with it. Because on this Jeep, you'll see there is a spare tire that's mounted. And that's actually mounted on that back piece right here. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to drill a hole in that back piece. It's drilled in the back part of the piece, but it's not coming through the other side. So you got to be real careful not to drill that through. So I would suggest, make yourself a 1/4 inch template because it's a lot easier to trace that on your wood. But then also make a template out of a full-size 3/4 inch piece, and you're going to drill a hole in the back of that. Now this hole is actually like 1 inch from the edge and in the center. So just drill a hole 1 inch from the edge and in the center. Because when you go to put your fifth wheel, or not your fifth wheel, your spare tire on there, because you need to leave room for your gas can that's going to sit on the other side of it. So I figured out it's about an inch, going about an inch and drill your hole. And you can do that while you still got your drill press set up to drill your wheelbase, because it's going to be right down the center. It's going to be the same place right down the center of the board. So when you got your wheelbase set up, this will be, just put that up against your fence and you can drill that hole. But you're going to have to set the depth of your dowel or your axle peg. If you see that, you're going to have to set the depth of your drill bit on your drill press so you don't come through the other side of this piece. It's kind of close, but you should be okay. You can always, if you wanted to, you could always shorten this axle peg up just a little bit on the sander or something if you think that'll help. But that's what you need to do, because you got to have that hole in there to put that spare tire on. So other than that, I think we're ready to maybe start gluing this together. All the parts are sanded, and like I said, don't forget to sand the front part of your Jeep, rounded corners. Just take them on the belt sander or something and round them corners, and do that on your windshield. Give it a little round top on the windshield, and also do that on your seats. The back of your seat, give it a little round sand in the air, and then on your seat part, do a little rounding edge. And then don't forget to cut your little notch in to separate the two seats. So basically, we're ready to glue this thing together. Got all the parts here. We're gonna, and I just happened to forget one more thing here. I gotta drill my hole here for this back piece. So we're just gonna go in an inch. I'm just gonna mark in an inch here, and we're gonna drill that hole for that back piece, because this I'm gonna use for my template. I'm gonna keep this for my template. I'm gonna end up painting this green, so I know always where to drill this hole. This is the piece that's actually gonna go on the Jeep today that we're making. So I'm just gonna drill that, and then we'll be right back. All right, guys, here back at the bench. I went ahead and drilled my hole here for my back piece here for the spare tire. You really want to make sure that you don't drill that hole all the way through that side. So you're really going to have to be careful of that. Like I said, you can shorten up this axle peg a little bit if you want. But yeah, you got to be really careful with that. Fits on there really nice. Another thing, before we start gluing this together, the wheel I got mounted on the driver's side in the back. Now, I did some research online. I looked at some military Jeeps online, these World War II Jeeps, and I seen most of them had the wheel on the driver's side. So that's the side I'm putting it on. So just remember that too. All right, as far as gluing it together, you basically just start. Let me move the camera right here. You're just going to basically start gluing this hood on. It doesn't really take a whole lot of glue. Just, you're going to glue this hood on. You're just going to set it there. Line it up with the edge. It doesn't take long for this to really set up. You can glue several parts at once, but then you're going to have to let it sit. We'll glue that on, and then we can glue this this back piece on too. Just watch for any glue squeezing out on the edges. You can glue that back piece on there. Line everything all up on the edges. And everything should line up really nice as far as the width, because when you cut your block of wood at 3 inches, you cut the wheelbase, the hood, and its back part, all while the table saw was set up at 3 inches. So everything will line up really nice. as far as that. Now this is starting to get a little tacky. So the next thing you can probably put in when the Jeep is sitting like this, you can actually glue your windshield in and just pick one side. Throw some glue on there, right there, and you can set your windshield right down inside there. Now, if you do happen to get a little glue squeeze out, you can always just clean it up a little bit. Just line your windshield up right there. And then you got that. Now we're not going to paint this Jeep. We're going to leave this a natural color. We're not going to paint this Jeep this green military color. But if you were to paint this Jeep, you need to paint it before you finish gluing all the stuff on. Now we can actually glue this star on. And here's something too. I did some research. The star on this, the 2 points towards the headlights, the star, it gets put on like this here. That's the way I seen them on Jeeps. So we'll just stick a little glue on that and throw that star on there. Now you'll notice on this Jeep right here that I made, I got this star painted on. I use a stencil to paint this star on. If you like that, you can do it that way. Or the way Steve Good had it, you cut out a star and glue it to the top. Either way, it looks fine. Now, with that on there, you can actually go and put the seat in. Remember, the widest part is the back of the seat. So you just want to put a little, because it only gets glued a little bit on the edge right here. And then maybe just a little bit across the bottom. A little bit on the edge, a little bit across the bottom. Now we can take that and set that in there somewhere right around there. Kind of center it. It's coming together pretty good. Any glue that squeezes out, you can probably get in there with something and get some glue out. But now, with the back of that seat in there, you can actually glue the bottom down. We'll set that bottom right in there. That should line up really nice. So we got that. We can actually, if you want, because this stuff starts tacking up pretty good, we can actually glue the guy's little, his legs. We can glue him in there. You put the legs in first. Oop. Put the legs in first. I want to set him about in the middle of that seat. And just make sure nothing else moves. And then you take the guy. Now, I guess it really don't matter which way you put the guy in, this way or this way, I'm not sure exactly. There is one part on his helmet that sticks out further than the other. I've been putting that towards the outside. So basically you just need to put a little glue on the bottom part right there. And set him on top of them legs. Just basically set him in there like that. You can use some toothpicks if you want, just to kind of get some glue if it squeezes out. I think that looks pretty good. Got the guy in there. Now pretty much, I think we're going to have to wait before we put the headlights and the gas can and the steering wheel and the bumper. Well, actually, what we're going to do, we're going to set this up like this. I think it's pretty good here. We're going to set this up. We're going to put a little glue on this bumper. Now you'll notice on this bumper too, I forgot maybe to mention it, you got to round them corners on the edge of the bumper too, on your sander. So the bumper actually goes on the bottom section of this Jeep. And that can sit there. And now you have your headlights, and the headlights are going to go right on the top part. Just stick them someplace. They don't have to be perfect. There, so all we have now is to put the steering wheel and the gas can on, but we'll do that after these here set up a little bit, and then we can flip it and do the steering wheel and the gas can, and then the wheels are the last thing. So like I said, we're not going to paint this one, but if you want to paint your Jeep, make sure you do it before you glue certain parts on. If you want to paint it all green like this, what we did was glued it all together except the star and the steering wheel and the wheels. And then we painted it all green. And then after it was dried, we glued the star on, the steering wheel, and the wheels. There's a lot of different ways you can paint these Jeeps if you like, but it's a lot easier to paint them if you don't put all this other stuff on. So we'll let that dry a little bit. We'll come back and finish it up. All right, back here. A lot of these parts are pretty much dried up here. We're going to set the Jeep right on the front bumper like that there. We can, first what we're going to do is glue this little steering wheel in for the Jeep. And all I do is just stick a little glue on the steering wheel here. Don't need a whole lot. I just put glue on the bottom half of the steering wheel. And then what I do is just, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but I just basically set that in there in front of the guy. I just make sure it's set in front of the guy. And then as far as the gas can goes, we'll put a little glue right here, a little glue on the Jeep bumper right there, and then we're going to just glue that glue that gas can on the edge. And it only gets glued on this bumper right here. It only gets glued on the top, not way down by the wheel. It gets glued on the top part. And then we could actually put maybe a little glue inside this hole. For the spare tire, and we can just stick that spare tire on there. I like it now if the spare tire spins. So you might want to spin it a little bit, make sure it's not stuck to that. Now we can leave that sit for a little bit, and then the only thing we got left is to actually put the wheels on. So we'll be back in just a little bit then. All right, guys, we are back. We are ready to put the wheels on. Everything is pretty much, well, it's not real dry. It's dry enough to put the wheels on. So we're going to do that. All you got to basically do is put a little, I don't know if you can see it, but put a little glue in each one of these holes. Not a whole lot, because you don't want the glue to squeeze out. You're just going to put some glue on each one of these holes. And put the axle pegs in and give them a couple turns. And then you're going to do the same thing to the other side here. And then the wheels are on. Really not too super hard. We'll let that sit. Every once in a while, you might want to pick your Jeep up, turn the wheels, just make sure it's nothing sticking. Want to make sure your axle pegs don't. Sometimes you want to move out, but every once in a while, just kind of move it so the wheels don't stick. That's pretty much it. Once this is all dried, I'll probably go over it a little bit with some sandpaper, kind of maybe if I see some pencil marks or some sort of something that needs to be sanded or something, I'll do all that. Then we're gonna actually put some oil on this Jeep. That'll look pretty nice. So you can actually paint these Jeeps, or you can leave it a natural color like this. Either way, it looks nice. I personally like the green ones, but I'm going to do some just plain ones too. And like I said, this is a Steve Good project. He did a real good job designing this Jeep. I love doing it. I've made a lot of these. Go to his website, and you will see all kinds of plans that he's got for different projects. There's no way you'll ever run out of something to make using the plans he's got on his website. So go there and check it out. He's got a lot of other information there that's useful. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, because I do have more videos coming out. I want to kind of go through all the different toys I make and show you how I make them. And the whole purpose of my YouTube channel is to work out some of the kinks in making some of these toys. Because sometimes you can download a plan or get a blueprint and look at it, and it just intimidates you. You don't want to start because there's a lot of information and you just don't know where to start. And I try to work out all the kinks and figure out all the measurements and all that stuff for you ahead of time. So when I show you how to do a vehicle, I'm giving you all my shortcuts and ways of doing things to make it easy. So that's basically the reason why I wanted to start my YouTube channel, was just to show people that projects don't have to be as hard as they look on paper. A lot of times they're pretty easy, but it takes you a longer time to figure it out and actually get started. So that's what I want to do on my videos, is just show you all that. So don't forget to make templates. Makes things a lot easier for making these vehicles. All my projects have templates. I can make these, and I know this was a long video. It doesn't take that long to make these Jeeps. I know I talked a lot, explained a lot, but I want to make sure that you have all the measurements and everything you need, so you don't have to try to scratch your head trying to figure out how to do this and how to do that. So again, hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and we'll see you on the next one.